All right, guys, welcome back. So we discussed white papers and what the F those are in our last lecture. Now let's discuss how to make one. But before we create anything, we need to establish a few things up front. Number one, what's our white paper topic going to be about? What are we going to write about? It should be a specific topic or a problem that we specifically can provide insight or a solution for. And since this is a white paper, we should have some evidence of some kind, perhaps some data or independent or unique research we've done that we can present to reinforce whatever argument we're trying to make. Number two, we need to figure out is who is the audience we're specifically targeting with this white paper. Now, you might be trying to get new customers, people who obviously haven't heard of you yet, but would have an interest in your products or services. This also could be your current customers as well, helping to reinforce the decision they made to buy your product or service, or to get them to upsell or to move to a bigger product, whatever. Either way, once you know who the audience is, it'll better help you prepare for writing the material. You want to write it for a specific group of people. Generally speaking, you can make wide-ranging white papers. You'll see wide-ranging white papers on Top Marketing Tactics of 2017, and they're huge. But those are not nearly as effective, because who exactly is going to download that? It's too wide of a group. You might get a lot of tuna in your net with that one. You might catch a lot of people that are not actually in your target market. It's kind of a waste. The third thing you need to ask yourself is, what are we trying to accomplish by creating this white paper? Most likely, we're trying to get leads, so if we put this document behind a form where they have to enter information, it makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, we're trying to prove some things, right? We want to prove that we know what we're talking about, that we're an expert on whatever this topic is, and then if readers want to know more, connecting with us would be in their best interest. Once you answer those questions, well, start writing. So let's consider a scenario here. Let's say I wanted to write a white paper to help people design better mobile apps. It's been done, but you could certainly make something that's valuable here. Perhaps I'm a mobile app developer myself and my business is consulting with businesses to create an app for them, whatever. So what better way to prove I know what I'm talking about than creating a white paper outlining some of the expertise I have to offer? Usually it's a good thing. The first thing to do is come up with a great title. So consider who your audience is and a common problem they deal with. You'll probably need to identify the problem quickly to make it interesting and relevant, and build up to a solution which you offer through research and data. But your title should really sum it all up quickly and concisely. But just because your white paper might provide data and be more academic in tone, it doesn't mean you should force an academic sounding title onto it. It doesn't have to be written like a medical journal. Think about it. Would you rather read a white paper called The Detrimental Effects of Current Design Trends on Mobile App Adoption and Effectiveness? I almost fell asleep. Or 10 Easy Ways to Design a Better App? Well, your title should be clear and descriptive, but also it's got to be interesting to your audience, and the value can't be just buried somewhere in there. That's not something they always have to snuggle up by the fire with, but also it shouldn't put them to sleep when they read it. Okay, so once you just pick that title, then you just need to get into writing it. Now, most white papers usually have a similar structure, so follow along here and you'll probably be in good shape. So the first thing you want to do is generally just create an outline. Do yourself a favor and just outline the white paper. It'll save you time as you put it all together and keep you from forgetting anything. Now, a classic white paper outline includes these sections. You generally have an introduction, then you have a background, like a background on the problem, background on the solution, a background on who you are, and it's a little salesy. Then what you want to do is a statement of the problem. You talk about how bad it is, what we've experienced, and maybe why. Then you would generally want to cover your solution and then your conclusion. Now, each section is important to prove your argument you're making in the white paper. Let's look at the introduction. Well, like any written piece, you're going to need to immediately get the attention of your audience. What relevant problem are you going to address in this white paper? Why should the reader care? Why should they spend all their time reading the next 20 pages? And what do you propose as a solution? You shouldn't go into great detail here since this is obviously just an intro, but it needs to be interesting and compelling enough so people will want to keep reading and they know the stakes of what they're about to learn. Your introduction might run down the current problems with, let's say, ride-sharing apps, including the major issues that are affecting people using the apps or recommending them to others. And you've got some industry data, let's say, showing satisfaction is down. So you have a proposal, which you state quickly and clearly here, and you tell the reader what to expect as they read on. Because there are benefits to following your advice, including increased user satisfaction and, let's say, improved word of mouth. Everything here is included for your audience, and it should compel them to read on. So provide some background. Give your reader the lay of the land. What's happening in the world right now? What's happening in their specific industry? So this is where you dig in with a recap of some current events and trends. Maybe Gyms are facing a downturn right now. New registrations are down X% in the last X years, for example. If your readers are gym owners, well, they'll recognize this problem, or at least you can expose the problem to them and then educate them. The next section is stating the problem. So what problem do you plan on solving with this white paper? Make sure you state it very clearly. This means describing the problem, explaining who it's affecting right now, and why it'll be a good thing to solve it. Do you have data or research to prove that there's a problem? Well, this is the place you want to share it. So if we're addressing that same problem, let's say with gym memberships, well, we'd explain why there's a downturn. Maybe people are just working out more at home. Maybe they're using free streaming services like YouTube, or paid ones they already have like Netflix to consume their workout programs. Who knows? Maybe there's one or two other major issues causing brick and mortar gym locations to struggle. Outline them here with evidence and with some data. Make the problem real and relevant to your reader. If this affects them, well, they'll be compelled to know how to fix it. If they don't, well, then they're probably not in your target market. And here's why these first few items are especially important. If you write up a solid intro and problem statement, both things will directly help you write copy for your landing page for this white paper. Your landing page needs to clearly state what the white paper is about, what it'll cover, who it's for, and why they should care. So once you create those pieces in your outline, you'll be ahead of the game by a mile. So now that you've stated the problem, really gotten in there and rubbed it in, now you want to outline your solution. So break down your solution for the reader into pieces. What exactly do you propose? What steps do they need to take to reverse this negative trend you've identified? Are these steps people can actually follow? Explain it fully. Is there data to back up your proposal? Try to share that as well. And are there some customer success stories or other examples that show this solution really works? Those will be really effective to prove your point. So how are we going to directly counteract the problem we've laid out? Let's say the problem you're trying to solve for app developers is how to speed up the development process. So your solution is a set of tactics to help developers more easily repurpose code from apps they've already built. In fact, you've got, let's say, 5 things they can do. So outline those solutions and make sure each one is clearly communicated with steps to follow, examples to show how it works, and data if it helps your case as well. Evidence of someone using your solution and then finding success also would be perfect right about here. Then the last part is your conclusion. It's just pretty much just sum everything up. Tie up the problem and the solution in a neat little bow and remind the reader what benefits they'll see if they follow your advice. It's also a good place where you can predict the future if you think it's going to get worse or we don't know what's going to happen. You've created the pieces already in this outline, so remind them of the current state of things. Tell them that problem, give them the solution, and sell the solution more time by stating the benefits of the following plan. So once the written part is taken care of, give your white paper a decently looking design. Now it's a white paper, it's a little academic, doesn't need to look fantastic, but at the same time, nobody wants to look at a plain sheet of paper. When you're designing it, keep these ideas in mind. Your end product here is gonna be a PDF, not a page online. So you'll need to figure out what to use to write it and design it. Apps like Word, InDesign, or even Google Docs do have options for this. However, templates can help quite a bit. There's a tool set called Curata that you can use, and they have ones for Microsoft Word. Ironically, they make you complete a form in order to get the templates they have, but they're decent. Again, also, I like to harp on this one, but Canva, I use Canva a lot for this type of stuff. Although formatting text on their site is a little tricky, can be a bit of a pain. Past that, I'd also say just check out InDesign. I think it's Adobe, but it's really made for print design. And so they just have tons and tons of templates you can use. If you really want to buy a template, pretty sure there's sites like Envato Market and like Theme Forest and stuff like that that actually sell written out collateral themes that you can convert for a white paper. Past that, always remember to include your company name and logo as part of that design. Well, here's a very simple example. Single sign-on for mobile apps from Kony, okay? Right on the first page, you see their logo, so it's pretty easy to know who this is from. Next tip I'd say is use a simple color scheme that plays off any colors in your logo or product. Like if you have a red and white logo, well, the pages will obviously be white. Obviously it's white paper, but your headers and other design elements could then be the alternate color of red or a neutral color like gray even. Next up, well, you probably will need to create some graphs or pie charts or something, right? Well, if you have data in Excel, you can create something in there using those built-in graph tools. but everybody will recognize those. And if they recognize them, it means it looks like you didn't put a lot of effort in it. So you can also plot out some better looking graphs on a site called Plotly. It's like plot.ly. All you really have to do is just provide the data in a CSV file or a tabbed format, which is actually pretty easy. In Excel, you just save it, do save as, don't save it as an Excel file, save it as a CSV. Or you can actually just copy and paste it from a spreadsheet into the website. So this Plotly graph on the comic book movies released per year looks pretty nice and yet terrifying at the same time. So once you've got a well-designed, awesomely written white paper, it's time to post it and promote it. Use your different channels, including social media, to spread the word about this new paper and drive people to the landing page where they can download it. Include some of the great copy you wrote for your white paper on the landing page. Your introduction would make for good material as to why the problem you're stating is valid and relevant, and use bullets to quickly outline what readers will get when they download the paper. Obviously, don't be too redundant, because if everyone reads the entire landing page and then they read the first 2 pages of your white paper and they're like, oh wow, it's the same exact thing, you'll lose a lot of people. Here's an example, 37 Signals. It's a company that makes Basecamp. They outlined all of these pieces nicely written on a white paper download page. They even state the questions people will ask. Why should I care about contingency design? What will I learn from this white paper? And who should read this white paper? Answer those questions right off the bat, and the right audience will give your white paper a look. All right, well, there you go. What white papers should you consider writing? Give it some thought and make a plan for creating some. They can help you get leads just like other formats I'll be discussing in the lectures to come. You also have to remember that these are magnets, which are basically just things that you then have to go out and promote to get people to come to the page. Remember, there's always 2 parts to this. You have to offer something and then you have to attract their attention. The only thing is that with a lead magnet or a lead page, it's just a lot easier. It's a lot easier to proliferate this out into the wild, and you can use this in combination with the other sections of the course like SEM. You start about running ads. It's perfect for running ads. Also SEO. Well, a lot of times you Google something, you will find a lead magnet. All right, guys, I will see you in the next lecture.